to go? Thank you for coming today. Glad that you could join us. I'm Attorney General Eric Schneiderman, joined today by Syracuse Mayor Miner, our County Executive Joni Mahoney, my friend Senator David Valesky, and Caitlin Wright, the Executive Director of the Greater Syracuse Property Development Corporation. And we're also joined by members of the Council and some other colleagues in government who are here because we're announcing the culmination of something that really started here in Syracuse. We're here not just because Syracuse is, you know, a great city and a wonderful place to live, raise a family, run a business, but also because it is a great place to talk about the challenges cities all across America are facing in the areas of housing and land use. One of the unfortunate legacies of the housing crisis, the collapse of the housing market in 2008, is that struggling homeowners have several layers of problems that they have to deal with. One of them that we've been seeking to deal with, and since I became Attorney General, I've been very much engaged in trying to deal with the consequences of the collapse of the housing market, investigating banks that were a part of that. I'm honored by the fact that the President made me the co-chair of a working group specifically set up of federal agencies and my office, really an unprecedented state and federal partnership to investigate the causes of the crash of the housing market. We've been helping a lot of people with our initial settlement with 5 banks. We were able to do something that other states did not do, which was to set up a network of housing counselors and legal services providers, because when I took office, there were 345,000 New York families facing foreclosure, and we learned that half of them went through that process without ever having a chance to talk to an attorney. Here in Syracuse and elsewhere around the state, we have funded legal services and housing counseling so that that is not happening anymore. As a result of that, New York families have gotten much better results than in essentially any other state. HUD projected that when we settled this first of our disputes with the banks, that New York families would get about $600 million in principal reduction on their mortgages, rate reduction, and other benefits. Because we set up our network and people had lawyers and counselors to help them negotiate with the banks, in the first year of the program, New York families got over $2 billion worth of principal reduction and other benefits. The next level, though, of this problem has to do with the issue of abandoned and dilapidated properties. And today we're here to take a very important step towards addressing that aspect of the issue, because when a property is abandoned and it's in disrepair, it's not just a problem for the family that lost that home, it's a problem for the block, it's a problem for communities. Abandoned properties can be magnets for crime, they drive down property values, they undermine the tax base, making it harder for local governments to pay for essential services. And in 2011, the legislature took a step towards resolving this issue, and Senator Valesky was one of the leaders, I think the sponsor of the legislation that created land banks, which enable local governments, they're nonprofits that enable local governments to buy up dilapidated properties, rehabilitate them and resell them, or tear them down completely. And it gives local governments the flexibility to confront this second level of problems. Today, we are addressing a problem that happens frequently in Albany. They set up a good structure, but there was no money for it. So my office in Syracuse, a few months back, announced that we were going to put up $20 million for land banks, and this was being done on a competitive basis. We issued a request for proposals, and land banks, I have to say, have a record of success in other parts of the country. One of the models people point to is Flint, Michigan, where they've really dealt with thousands of properties. But we've now gotten the first round of proposals in, and I'm very pleased to say that Syracuse, the GSPDC, the Greater Syracuse Property Development Corporation, which serves Syracuse and Onondaga County as a whole, is going to be getting $3 million, which and if you look at our awards, and we've given out a set of awards, again, this is just the first round. There are other cities and jurisdictions that, frankly, some of them didn't even set up land banks because there was no funding up until recently. Other cities will be applying, other counties will be applying. But Syracuse, in this first round of applications, had, I have to say, an extraordinary application, and they were clearly more ready to put the money out to do good work immediately than a lot of other places, and that's why, even though there are cities that are larger than Syracuse that got less money, that's a reflection of the great work of the people who are here before you today in setting up a program and working through the issues of the land bank in advance of us announcing there would be funding, so that they're ready to put the money to good use, including taking over and rehabbing abandoned, dilapidated properties in Syracuse and in the county as a whole, demolishing some properties which just really need to be cleared out, and the land can be put to better use. And this will enable the Syracuse Land Bank to leverage our money to enter into long-term profit-sharing agreements, to get private capital in, other public money that is available, and in some cases there are some nonprofits who are funding planning for land banks. This money is going to go a long way, and we're convinced from the quality of the work that went into the proposal here that the folks in this room are going to make very good use of the funds, and we look forward to seeing that success. And as we continue, and I continue my efforts to help the banks give back to the communities that they did so much business in, or in the last decade, that there will be more funds coming. And the proposal we got from the folks here is really a great example of using creativity and using empirical evidence to come up with a plan to improve lives for all of the people of the community. So I'm honored to be a partner with all of the public officials here and to be able to provide these funds from our recovery from the banks. More to come. There have been lots of reports in the newspapers about our negotiations with one bank to settle another whole area of claims. As usual, some of what you read is true, but there are other negotiations going on, there are other cases going on, and we will continue to collect all the money we can and put it to good use for the homeowners and the communities in New York State that were devastated by the collapse of the housing market. And with that, I want to bring up a great partner in government who is someone who's been a leader in this effort and many other efforts, your great Mayor Stephanie Miner.
I want to first and foremost thank the Attorney General for fighting and using his office to get access to these resources, and then making it a merit-based process. I have said across the state to leaders, if you make it a merit-based process, we in Syracuse will win, because we have exceptional, extraordinary people here in the city who are committed, I should say here in the city and county, County Executive Mahoney, in the city and county who are, thank you. Thank you for recognizing that. Who are really focused on making sure that we move our community and our region forward. 4 years ago, when I ran for mayor, one of the things that I was struck by was every single neighborhood, as distinct as different as they were, the neighbors in those neighborhoods came to me and they said, we are so worried about abandoned properties. The first one that appears on the street leads to another one, and with the single biggest investment that we make in our property, we are scared to death that we're going to lose that, and we have not heard any answers to what can be done. And so started the long, laborious process of figuring out how we, on a systematic basis, could tackle this problem. And we did tackle it. And we first tackled it by approaching Senator Valesky and saying that we needed a land bank and asking him to work with his colleagues in the state legislature to do that. And he did that. And it was through the advocacy of Ben Walsh and Paul Driscoll and Caitlin Wright, who are here, saying that we were prepared to seize this and do things differently. There was exceptional work that they did, but it didn't stop there. Once we had the state legislation with us, we then had to work with our partners from Sun and other neighborhoods to overcome sort of the natural hesitancy that happens when you say, we're going to change the whole way that we approach things. And they have been extraordinarily helpful, and without their work, and the work of Home Headquarters, of course, too, Carrie Quigley in the back, we would not have been able to overcome the natural kind of opposition when you start to change the status quo. But we have done that. And then we went and sought and worked with the county executive and her extraordinary team too, and they joined us and said, yes, we believe that this is right, not just for the city of Syracuse, which is located in Onondaga County, but we believe it's right for Onondaga County, and we're going to make the necessary steps to enable that to happen. And so as a consequence, I say that to say that while you have 3 or 4 people speaking in front of you and you have a bunch of people standing in front of you, that this is really a community effort. And every single part of our community, the leadership in our community, stood up and said, this is important to us, and we're going to take the time and the resources and the energy necessary to move it forward. And move it forward, we stand here today where we had the Attorney General of the great state of New York saying that we had the best proposal. A smaller city, and yet we have the intellect, the capability, and the partnerships that we're going to continue with your help to make sure that Syracuse is in the forefront of our revitalization. So I want to thank you for being here today. Thank you, of course, for the resources. Thank you for using your job to help the people of the state of New York and the land bank here in Syracuse and Onondaga County. And I also want to thank all of you who worked so hard on this and believed in this and said that we would one day be here. So thank you all very much for helping us move this community forward.
Thank you. And as I have just learned, Syracuse is in Onondaga County. I do want to emphasize something that the mayor just referred to. This has been the only way to do a good job when you're dealing with something that raises up an entire community. The only way you turn around a cycle of a decline in housing prices and in the quality of life in communities is if everyone works together. And whatever disagreements people may have on other issues, one of the things that has distinguished Syracuse in this process is the seamless collaboration between city, county, and in fact, having the state senator here who got this whole area of public policy rolling. So now it's a pleasure to bring up the other member of the team that actually made this happen, your great county executive, Joni Mahoney.
Thank you. Thank you. This is a great event, and I want to thank the Attorney General for, first of all, coming into office and really standing firm and putting the people of the state of New York in a position to benefit from what we should with that housing collapse. The Attorney General, you might remember, was the only Attorney General across the United States that really stood firm, and that's paying off for us here in Syracuse today because these resources are coming back to the folks that were really hardest hit by the housing crisis. I want to thank, as the mayor just did, the folks that are standing here behind us. I remember years ago sitting in Rob Simpson's office, and Ben Walsh brought in somebody from Flint, Michigan, to tell us what land banks were and what they were all about. And I can't believe I've been doing this job long enough to actually see the fruition of some of these meetings that happened a long time ago. Caitlin has really hit the ground running, and as the Attorney General said, this award being the biggest that's being announced in the state today is due to the fact that we really have a very knowledgeable, hardworking person in Caitlin Wright that's put this together for us, and I want to thank you for the work that you're doing. And I want to tell you on a personal note, I grew up here. I've lived in the city of Syracuse and in Onondaga County my entire life, and I'm heartbroken by some of the neighborhoods and what's happened in the recent past. Houses that I played in as a child with my friends, and to think now that we've brought this great group of people together. Senator Valesky works very quietly and very effectively and gets state law passed. We have a terrific mayor that's really rolled up her sleeves and, as she said, stood up to, what did you call it, the natural opposition to change. That you said it a lot more gently than I could ever say it, and I really appreciate your perseverance, because it does get annoying to just constantly be met with no, 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 and status quo, and to say we can do things better, and to stand up for the people in the city and do what's right. I really appreciate Stephanie's partnership in this. But right now, we're in a position in a big way. The city came up, I think, with $500,000. So when you compare that to what the Attorney General is coming here today to say, $3 million for our land bank to bring our neighborhoods back. It really is a great day in Syracuse, and we owe a lot of people here a tremendous amount of thanks, starting first and foremost with our Attorney General who's watching out for us. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And thank you. And now someone who is a very, I guess as we get older, we shouldn't refer to each other as old friends, a longtime friend of mine, Senator David Valesky, who I'm proud to have been supporting him in his initial forays into public service and continue to do so. He's been a great colleague and a great partner in government, and it is no surprise to me that he was indeed the sponsor of the legislation for land banks. So this is a great day for Syracuse and for Onondaga County and for the other counties you represent. But this is a great day to acknowledge the leadership that has come from this community at every stage of this process. And I think that's something that the county executive just noted and is worth noting. I mean, I travel all over the state. There are some great communities working on excellent proposals in other parts of the state, but Syracuse really has had a unique role in making land banks happen and enabling us to get the money out and be assured that it's going for a good purpose right away. There is not going to be any delay in Syracuse, and the person who got this all started with the land bank legislation is my good friend, David Valesky.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Attorney General. It's great to have you here. First, I just want to say to the county executive, you know, if Mr. Trump can be referred to as the Donald, we can refer to the mayor as the Stephanie. Why not? Okay? Okay, yeah, sure it is. Attorney General, I just want to, very much appreciate not only you being here, but I appreciate you recognizing the level of collaboration that is extremely evident here in Syracuse and Onondaga County. And if you look at this particular project, the creation of the land bank, I like to think of it as coming full circle. Mayor Miner talks about tools in her toolbox that she sometimes receives from the state legislature, hopefully more often than not. And we talked about what was happening in states like Rhode Island, and you had mentioned Michigan, specifically the city of Flint, Michigan, and talked about the fact that we have a problem here, and this tool, this land bank tool, authorized by the legislature, can go a long way towards solving that problem here in Syracuse. So we got to work, we put pen to paper and wrote the legislation, but once that was done, as you have seen, since you have been to Buffalo and Rochester, I know, and before that, you know that the collaborative effort that is taking place here from the mayor and the county executive's administration working collaboratively together with everyone standing behind her. That's why we have the best land bank in the state. And that's why, frankly, I think we've done so well. And I know we're going to hear from you, perhaps most importantly, in a few moments. But the hard work that took place on the ground here is why we have $3 million. So the circle of this project is complete. From state to local governments to making it happen, back to the Attorney General at the state level. So I'm thrilled because the real, those who will really benefit from this program are the residents of the city of Syracuse and the county of Onondaga. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Senator. Thank you. As your lawyer, I want to make two corrections. One is that I note that it was mentioned that Senator Valesky speaks quietly. He can get loud when he feels that the right thing is not being done by his constituents. I just want you all to understand that. And when you're usually quiet and get loud only occasionally, you do get people's attention in Albany. And the second thing is I actually have dealings with Mr. Trump right now, and I would never draw any analogy between Mayor Miner and that gentleman, who is not in my office referred to as the Donald. He's referred to as the something else, and I don't want to really get into it. But you may know that we have sued him for the fraudulent scheme that was known as Trump University, which never registered with the state as a university, certified its teachers, or met any of its obligations. So I will continue to call you Mayor Miner. Finally, the person who has really held all of this together through these years of collaboration and who is teed up to make this work, the executive director of the land bank. And this is really where we start the next phase of this process, because as Senator Valesky said, we've come full circle now. We're able to deliver this $3 million. Caitlin Wright, who's going to speak with us now, is going to be implementing this program. And I do want to say that while this part of it has come full circle, I am determined to get more relief from the financial institutions who caused the collapse of the American economy back into the communities they harmed. In the crash of the housing market, Americans lost $7.4 trillion in home equity. And the problem had a ripple effect because of what we've been discussing, that bad abandoned properties on one block hurt the whole block, hurt the whole community. I'm not done yet. We're not done with trying to get money for communities like Syracuse and Onondaga County. And so I look forward to working with my colleagues here on an ongoing basis on this and other projects. But now to talk about how this is really going to work, one of the real architects of this program, Caitlin Wright.
Thank the Attorney General for visiting us here in Syracuse today and for this opportunity, and everyone that has spoken thus far for their praise of our organization and what we plan to do with these funds. But I have to say that I feel like I've arrived on the scene relatively recently and know that people were in Syracuse advocating for the need for a land bank and for the state enabling legislation years before I even came on the scene. So I'm very excited to see that we are finally hitting the ground running. I want to thank the Attorney General and his office for their attention to the issue of vacant and neglected housing resulting from mortgage foreclosures and from tax delinquency here in the city of Syracuse, and the impact that those houses have on the surrounding neighborhoods and property values and quality of life that they've mentioned so far. And I also want to thank Center State CEO and Rob Simpson here, who's been advocating for land banks and the powerful tool that they can play and the role that they can play in addressing these challenges in a holistic way in our community. We wouldn't be able to do that if it weren't for advocacy of groups like his, of groups like Syracuse United Neighbors, of all the Syracuse residents that have made sure that this remains at the forefront of what our elected officials are thinking and talking about. So it has definitely been a collaborative team effort to bring this to fruition. And I also am very excited that we have all of our board members here who have been volunteers for the past 18 months. The board of directors has put in an extraordinary amount of hours to make this organization ready to take on properties. And now we are. Over the next 3 years, we're prepared to take on about 2,000 vacant properties in the city of Syracuse. And partnering with the city and the county to implement a new tax collection policy that will enable us to efficiently gain control of those properties and do responsible and productive things with them. And the land bank can rise to this challenge because of the willing partnership on behalf of the county and the city, willing to get serious about this problem, to get serious about tax collection and raising revenue so that we can locally fund the redevelopment of a lot of these problem properties that are plaguing our neighborhoods, and willing to provide significant financial support to starting up the land bank here in Syracuse over the next several years. With that support, we're going to be able to take ownership of approximately 2,000 vacant properties and make them available for the first time to private investors who can come into our neighborhoods and invest in the future that our community wants to realize and turn these vacant properties from eyesores into assets. And now, with this $3 million from the Attorney General's office, we can do more than just what the private market is willing to do and make significant improvements in 50 single-family houses that will be available to low-income families. We wouldn't be able to do that if it weren't for these funds to improve the quality of this housing stock and make it available at affordable prices for first-time homeowners. And we wouldn't also be able to do it without partnering with some local experts. So I want to acknowledge Home Headquarters, who will be a part of this effort, and the Onondaga County Division of Community Development. In addition to renovating 50 homes, we'll also be able to demolish approximately 20 properties nearby that are too far deteriorated to be renovated, but that are detracting from the property values in that area. So it'll be, like I said, a holistic approach. So this will enable us to create high-quality, move-in ready housing out of what were vacant and abandoned eyesores, turning them into assets for our community. So I want to thank you for the opportunity to expand the good work that we're excited about doing, and I look forward to you coming back to Syracuse and seeing some finished products very soon. Thank you very much.
So thank you all. Congratulations to you all. Great work, and I do look forward to coming back and seeing the communities and the neighborhoods turning around. And now, I guess we can take a few questions if there are any. Crystal clear? All right, good. Thank you, thank you. Thank you very much.